that needs to happen.
You mean like broke? Like all you broke? How many of you are broke? That's where I used to be. All right, so we're cool. We got that plane. That's what it really was. You know, it was for me. It's always been a passion about music. You know, I got turned on to live music when I was in college out of Cal Poly Pomona in Southern California, about an hour from LA. And it was a burning time. It was like punk rock. There was a thing called punk rock. And it's so simple a time in punk rock that I met the first punk rocker I named. He named himself Xerox Clone. What a cool punk rock name, you know? And I met this guy and he turned me on to some of the bands in LA. And then I was going to this school called Cal Poly about an hour from LA, and we got to start bringing bands there. And it was a very unique time, and now we look back, you know, a long time towards that time. And Paul Tollett, who's throwing an amazing festival at Coachella, called Coachella, he was going to Cal Poly. Ron Coleman was doing went to SST Records, and we started loving bands. We started bringing bands and figuring out how to bring bands out to Cal Poly. And I was trying to figure out how to get through school. So I always had this motto. It was like figuring out, you know, how to get. It was a street hustler. How many of you guys consider yourself a hustler? It's a good term. You know, if you use hustle in the right way, it's a good term. You know. And I had to hustle my way through school. So I found out I couldn't sell beer to kids. So I sold them a mug and gave them free beer. And then it started out 5 bands, $5, all the beer you could drink. And when the cops came, we would rent a frat house because the cops were used to going there. And we'd bail out the back door. But we started bringing bands like Fishbone. We were bringing, you know, Lone Justice. We were bringing like, you know, Circle Jerks and having them in backyards. And I'd go out, but I started learning about music. And I started loving the live show. The live passion, the passion and the energy of the live show. So went on, graduated from college, had nowhere to go, nothing to do, so I moved to Hawaii. I ran a weight loss camp for girls. It was called Lose Weight, Get a Date, Get a Tan, Get a Man. That was kind of the motto of my whole program.
You're totally making this up right now.
No, not at all. It was but this is kind of like how lost I was. You know? So I came home and someone offered me a job and said, hey, you know enough about music. There were some cool punk rock clubs in LA, $75 a night to go work at shows. And pretty much it was $75 to kind of unload the band, throw people off stage all night, and the PA would blow up and you know, figure it out. I started figuring it out, and we did some co-promotions with Golden Voice, and then Golden Voice was a legendary punk rock company there, and that education I had. So there's always this battle: do you go to school or do you just get into the business? Go to school, and I'm an advocate of education because it gives you something to fall back on. That degree I got gave me the confidence that if I had to go get a job one day I could. You know, now that I'm 50, I'm totally outdated in work, so I work out of fear and desperation. So, you know, that's what I do nowadays. And so I did that. And then, you know, I worked in the clubs. I was working over 300 days a year and learning about the business. Every night it was awesome. It was like you were at the Roxy, Whiskers, Palace Palladium. Every night, venues we'd make up, venues we would find, all the legendary punk rock shows. And then I started realizing that I never wanted to become that guy. And you guys all know that guy. You guys know that guy? That guy is the guy that bums your night out, all right? You go out, you're stoked, you spend $10 to see a band, and there's a sound man. You're in a band, you drive all night, you get there, and they treat you like shit. That guy that you meet every day, you never want to become that guy. 1991, I'd been working 320 shows a year, met Perry Farrell, I was doing Jane's Addiction, I was invited to be the first stage manager of Lollapalooza. So by 95, I was ready to get out. I was ready to go be a school teacher, move on. I didn't want to become that guy, I was bummed out. And, but I saw this whole culture of skateboarding and lifestyle that we've been growing up with, you know, backyards, everyone hanging out, been doing a lot of charity events.
Did Lollapalooza, going around Lollapalooza, did that help enlighten the scene that you were seeing, this coming scene? Yeah. Or was it just basically a SoCal thing?
See, it was a SoCal thing at that point, but you saw those live passion, but you saw, you know, when I was working every day, you were working part of something, and you were just, you know, it was like this movement. And that's what you guys are now, part of a movement of indie music and indie artists again, pulling together. We pulled together, and you had Jane's Addiction, Nine Inch Nails, you know, Susie and the Banshees, Ice-T. And we all went out and pulled together and we did this amazing show, and you felt like you were part of something. So I felt like Lollapalooza kind of, for me, run its course. You know, I was being paid more money to teach the Beastie Boys and the Monks basketball at that point than to do a show because it became very fragmented, like a big rock show. And then, in 95, I decided to go get out of the business, pulled together a few skaters I knew. I grew up in Claremont, so Pipeline Skate Park was right next door. So guys like Salva and Dwight Peters and Mike Frazier from Florida here, And we all went out, got Sublime, No Doubt, bands that I liked. And I like to think that Warped Tour now is more like it was in 1995. The majority of this year's tour is all indie artists. And I went out and did this tour, and people, you know...
This is before No Doubt signed, before Sublime signed?
They were all signed, kind of, they had indie records out. They hadn't put out their major label releases. And we went out, and we kind of caught this little wave of, you know, we got, you know, just passion, love to what we did. I was making no money, I was bankrupt when I got home. Pretty much broke.
What was the bigger draw then? Was it the action sports, the skateboarding, the BMX, and everything that was going on, or was it the music, or could you tell why the kids were showing up like on that first year?
I have no idea why anyone, because we do shows that had 80 people there, and 40 of them were homeless guys we let in. We did. We'd open the gates and let all the homeless guys in, like Dallas and places, just to fill the crowd. But, you know, I think people kind of got what we were doing and then legitimized it in 1996 with No Effects and Pennywise came on board. But the agents wouldn't pay attention. No one wanted to pay attention to what I was doing. So I had to find my way in. This is that thing, you have to find your way in. So you guys are always going to have to find your way in. The traditional models don't work for everyone. And the traditional model didn't work for me. Calling an agent and trying to book their bands, no one wanted to put their bands on tours. And I had to go surfing with Fletcher. And the afternoon with Fletcher for Pennywise could get a lot more debaucherous than just surfing. And, you know, I convinced him about my passion for what I was doing. And he called up Fat Mike and said, hey, Kevin's doing a cool thing here, let's get involved. And the scene supported me. And I always like to say the scene supported me. And though I make a great living now, nicer living than I could have ever imagined as a street punk guy with no passion, I've never taken advantage of my scene. And that's you know, can I divert really quick? If any of you are ever asked to be on the Warped Tour, there's a lot of scam artists right now. And I'm asking you guys, report them to me. There's a lot of people trying to take advantage of your scene right now, promising you things they can't deliver. And if you ever need help, I'm very passionate about that right now because people are using my name, they're taking advantage of you guys and all the things you're doing. They promise you things they can't deliver.
What, they're having bands pay to get on Warped Tour, supposedly?
Well, I get accused all the time of like I've never taken a buy-on in my life. It's not, I hate them. I remember from the 80s rock era. Buy-ons fucking suck. You know, I used to see like promoters come out on stage and take the band's amp away from them until they paid for tickets. I'm going, don't take his amp, that guy really needs to learn how to play that thing. Don't take it away from him, please. You know,
it's been key to this before.
I gotta listen to this guy up here on stage, you know? But, you know, it is that. So I did the Warped Tour, and, you know, and then there's that moment in time where, you know, people were kind of like convincing me, and, you know, I had a guy, my ex-partner, and people, why they become your ex-partners in life, because they don't have the same passion as you, or they try to sell you down the river. I had an ex-partner who convinced me that Calvin Klein would have been a great sponsor for the Warped Tour. How many of you would have gone to Calvin Klein Warped Tour in 1996? Sponsorship's a little more acceptable nowadays, but back then, I don't think Pennywise and No Effects would have showed up to the Calvin Klein Warped Tour. There was this actual moment in time, and I got an interview with Vans, and I thought I was going down there to talk about the Warped Tour. And really what they were doing was interviewing me about helping them with their amateur skate program. And, you know, it's that fine line of like when you just got to go out and you're throwing it all out there, and you're going to get that moment, you know, but you got to back it up. And in 15 minutes, I convinced him that the Warped Tour was an important music festival, and the only way people are going to see amateur skating is at the Warped Tour. And he wrote me a check for $300,000 that pretty much got me out of debt. And got me almost back to square one. I owed some promoters money that took me time, and we paid them back.
Wait, did Vans come in? Were they on the first Warped
Tour?
No,
they came in came in the second one. And it became the Vans Warped Tour. Our partnership with Vans has been great because I like to say that we have a great relationship because you're going to find when you deal with sponsors. I mean, how many of you want to get a sponsor sometime or work with sponsors? You know? Okay. The other guys give you 2-3 years, and you're all going to be all right. Okay. Because every band I sign now to the Warped Tour, as soon as I confirm them on the Warped Tour, the next call is to the manager asking me what sponsor can they get. You know, how can they get affiliated with the sponsors? Because I grew up with fuck corporate America, that fuck corporate America on the skateboard kind of thing. All I learned how to do was we all support them, we buy their products. My original idea was let me get some money and have some fun with some friends I had.
So what was the original ticket price, first year of Warped?
Well, the first year of Warped Tour was $15.50. And when we went to, and even to this day,
I mean, we have to deal with Ticketmaster and all the fees and all the things I fight every day. It's still $40, but we net 26 out of it.
Right on.
After fees, we have to pay for the whole Warped Tour. So those sponsors that we get subsidize this show about $50,000 a market, so we can come.
Right on. So yeah, that's key to your longevity then. I think not selling out, remaining true to the punk rock ethic, right?
Well, selling out's a term. Selling out is a term that, like, people always go, "Did you sell out?" You know, earlier you can get past that term, selling out. Be true to yourself. I don't know any person that starts out in a garage that just wants to play music for themselves, for their whole lives. Eventually, you all going to get chicks to come to the garage, right? So that's the minute you sell out. The minute you invite some girls over to have some beers and listen to you play in the garage, you sold out, okay? Get past the term sell out.